Well, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. My guest is handling some business on his phone. He'll be right back with us. He is with us tonight. I have Kwangjanim Kameren Dawson. I am very excited to have him because my kids have been going to his school since my son was 4. That's 6 years ago, and it's just like time flies. And I remember when he first started, he wasn't having it.
At all.
Show just patience with him, not giving up, not getting angry. A lot of times, instructors will do that to kids. If they say they don't get it quickly, they'll push them away, and then and that's when parents quit. Oh, I want my kid in the school, and this ain't happening. But from that day, I don't trust many people with my kids, but when they're in your hands, when they were in your dad's hands, it was a beautiful and wonderful thing. And real quick before we get started, anybody that's joining us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, specifically with Facebook, I'm going to post a link that you have to go to if you want to comment and your name to be seen. Drop that in there. That way, whenever you comment, your name will be seen by us. If you don't want your name to be,
I'm having some issues with audio here. Hold on one second.
I can hear you just fine.
One. Can you hear me? I
Yeah,
can't hear you.
I can hear you.
All right, one.
So while he goes out and comes back in, fixes his audio again, this is I want, when we start to talk, I want you guys to see actually how empowering martial arts can be for your kids, for you as adults, what it means to be in a martial arts system, how it can be a part of your family. And it's not just about kicking and punching. There's much, much more to it. And I'm good now. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Perfect. So we're gonna jump right into this thing. Kwangjanim Cameron, can you tell us a little bit how you got started? Um, I kind of know the story, but for everybody that don't,
right,
just a little bit
right.
from your start to where you are now. Kind of chart that journey for us a little bit.
So I started martial arts in between like 3.5 and 4. So I actually started out with my uncle, David Carey, and this is before I even started going to the school and having formal training. It was more of like a recreational thing. And because we weren't paid and because we were family, it was more so they could do with us as they please. So that was more so of a really, humbling experience because we had people who genuinely, cared for us. So I practiced from about 3.5, 4 years old to about 6. And when I got 6, 7 years old, we actually went to the first commercial martial arts school, and that's where we actually got with my dad, Gerald Dawson, and that's where we started actually earning ranks and stuff. So from there, myself and my uncle's first son, his name was David. Also, we were kind of side by side through our years of training. We came to the first school that was in Columbia, Maryland. We were there all the way through until presently. I actually began competing at the age of 6. And I think that the competitions is where it kept me busy, it kept me focused, it taught me that teamwork, the leadership qualities, everything that I would need. And from that point on, it was something that I just wanted to do over and over again. And the more hungry I was to learn, the more that my dad kind of fed me. But it was a balance thing. I wasn't allowed to compete and go to tournaments if the school wasn't right, if home was not right. So it kept me well rounded, and I began teaching professionally at about 13 years old, all the way through currently. And every day I just stuck by my dad's side, and we learned the business aspect, we learned the floor aspect, and I actually began teaching like with Cesar's class at first,
Mhm.
and that was the really young kids, and that's when you really learn that patience, and you can't, give up on kids, because it's not the talented students that stay, it's the ones that work hard. And once you get the floor part down of the business, you realize that teaching is the easiest part. Then we go into marketing and our location and keeping the retention of our students and our customer service. So now that I've been in business by myself after the passing of my dad for one complete year, it actually gives me a different level of appreciation. But when things got hard with this, if he would allow me to quit, if he would allow me to give up, then we would definitely be in a really bad place now. So I think that the parents have a lot to do with the process. And now that I am in business, I realize that we are not in the business of kicking and punching, but we are in the business of personality. And now that we're in a business of personality, once you identify your target audience, then that's where the business it begins to grow.
Right. Even in just that, you shared just a lot of nuggets, right? Gold nuggets that, because most people, when they think about, oh, I'm gonna put my kids in martial arts or whatever, they all they think about is the kicking and the punching aspect.
Hmm.
That was something that when my wife Catherine first talked to your dad, he just wasn't about the kicking and the punching. He was about total martial arts as a lifestyle,
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
that's included with it. And like you said, talent doesn't stay, people that work hard do. Because there's a lot of talented people that just give up because they don't have the work ethic. And
yes, sir.
you guys always demanded that from the outset. How did that philosophy come about? Who was it that thought about being a black belt outside of karate, being a black belt in life? Where did that come from?
I believe that in the orient of martial arts, that one thing that separated Japanese martial art from Korean martial arts, Koreans always considered themselves to be academically advanced, and so because of the time of the Japanese occupation, karate was used more so by what they call thugs or criminals, because they used it in order to oppress others. Now, when the Koreans had a chance in order to practice martial arts, that's when they put the principle aspect behind it, and that's when they came up with the virtues and the principles. So all we do is just merge, evolution and tradition, in order to maximize our students, um, experience, on the mat. We find ourselves having the most talented students that we have the most trouble in school and have the most trouble at home. The ones that are not so talented, they catch on to having, awesome grades, and they're really really good with their parents. So everybody's martial art journey is different, and some people's black belt journey is more of the principal aspect, where they have to understand how to conduct themselves. We've had many students that have been great on the mat, world champion competitors, and have not received their black belts because they don't conduct themselves, in a proper way. So I think it's just a thing of accountability. And I definitely think that my dad was very, very keen on that and holding everybody to the same standard.
Mhm.
The martial arts school was one of the places that we call a university, because we are a union of diversity, and it's actually one of the unique places on the planet where everybody's held to the same standard. Doesn't matter ideology, race, isn't, none of those things matter.
And I can see that because with your classes, everybody's held to the same. You say all the time that it's not given to you, everything's earned. I will fail you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people in other schools, and man, my son got black belt. A month and a half later, man, he got the second degree, and I'm like, man, they passing through these belts fast. How do these kids? But and what I notice is on the other side of that, the same person who said that said, "Oh, all my son does is play video games. He's lazy, doesn't clean up." And I'm like, so what is the school actually teaching? Because
Right,
if
right,
they're
right.
giving them curriculum and just passing them through it just because they're not teaching them one thing that I definitely like was the yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am mentality. I like the way when the kids step on the mat and they had an issue with the parents, you held them accountable for that. You always
Yeah,
remind them that now you tell me yes or no, so tell your mom yes ma'am, no ma'am. Be responsible to your parents. Be respectful. You guys always push that beyond everything else. And What is that for you? That passion that you have for teaching kids or connecting with the kids, where does that come from?
I think it comes from, well, I think me wanting to help children, I think that comes from me understanding the position that, I was in. I don't believe that I was raised in a, guns blazing environment, but it definitely wasn't Columbia, Maryland. It definitely wasn't Elkridge. And I know where not having those principles and values can actually, take you. And I think a lot of what our youth fall into today is just not having that solid foundation. And a lot of it comes from parenting honesty. And that is a big topic, even when we go to these big martial arts business even though we are in the business of, martial arts, we have to be honest. And a lot of our parents are not comfortable being honest. Let's just take the narrative of, look at our young ladies, nowadays, and how they are being brought up, and they are taught that you have to be strong, you have to be focused. The
Yep.
moms tell them, you don't need a man, you got to be independent. But all the little boys we get in the martial arts school, our moms say, that's my baby. But at the same time, you want him to grow up and be this adult and this husband that provides, protects, and conquers and builds. But we don't give him the foundation in order to do such. So I just want to make sure that even if they don't make it to black belt, even if they're not a world champion, that at least we can give them the foundation in order to be successful.
And, and since you mentioned that, let's go right into how do you feel martial arts training helps empower those kids to move into adulthood? How does it, or what is it about martial arts that can provide that foundation?
I believe that martial arts just gives you another form of journey, and basically the martial arts is just another symbol of life. So as they have to go through tests in order to get to the next level, man, it's the same thing that we do with our children as far as school is concerned. We give them information. They have to take that information, they have to make it their own and regurgitate it in a way in order for them to communicate effectively.
Mhm.
And all we're doing is showing them that whenever they want to achieve something in life, that they have to work hard. So we don't give out belts. We tell them that this is your responsibility. You have to execute. You have to demonstrate, that confidence, which in the classroom is the same thing. We all know that we have a lot of kids that are intelligent, smart, but we'll never know how truly smart they are because they lack the confidence in order to, express themselves. So the martial arts, and even though we are a martial arts school, we are a life skills academy because all we use is the martial arts. That is just a vehicle in order to get through to the children. And so we teach them that when it comes belt test time, if you do not prepare, if you do not study, if you do not work hard, you will fail. When they get to college, it's the same thing. If they do not put that time aside to study, if they are not disciplined, if they do not find it important, they will fail. So all we do is use it as a vehicle, and so they have a point of reference. And we've had all kinds of successful black belts to become business owners. Jason Down being a major, major, major attorney. We have neurosurgeons and people have actually came back and said, when I got into college and when I started my family, if it wasn't for my martial art training and the mentality of learning how to not quit, that I would have gave up a very long time ago. So we do know that even though the kicks and punches are important, the virtue and principle part, it sticks with them, just for a lifetime.
Absolutely. And I liked the other night when I was there how you had them looking in the mirror and who do you see yourself as? What do you
Hmm.
see yourself as? And you have pointed out that a lot of the kids didn't even have confidence to look in the mirror and say who they were. Now,
Right.
that's something as parents that for me, it really struck me. I don't know how the other parents look at that because I'm dialed in to what you're
Yes,
doing
sir.
and how you communicate with the kids, and we kind of have the same wavelength. We're on the same pattern of
Right, right, right.
mentality. So I'm looking at empowering children. Do the parents even realize that their kids are looking in the mirror and can't positively say something about themselves?
That goes back to the honesty though. So what we're finding now, and this is the whole martial art community, even good schools, bad schools, and that all is based on opinion. What we find is that a lot of parents nowadays are using hobbies in order to delegate their responsibility.
Hmm.
So now, we have parents coming to the martial arts school, and they may say, well, when I'm at home, I'll tell the kid, I'm gonna tell your martial arts instructor, and then they straighten up. But if they say it is not enough, which is kind of backwards. And we want all people who are part of what we do to understand that we have the parents back. So it's kind of like the parents stand in front and we just reinforce from behind. It's not the other way around. So we are trying to not only teach our kids, but we still have parenting classes in which we gather with all of our new students, and we say, parents, okay, you will face this arbitration, you will face this excuse, the same way you will when they get to school, when they say, mommy and daddy, I don't want to go. Mommy and daddy, I don't want to go. But because you find it as a priority, you make them go. And we are trying to set that same standard as far as the martial arts school is going to be, concerned. But a lot of what we do and the exercises, and and I can only be 100% honest, we do go through a lot of tears. We do go through a lot of upset parents, but they always come back. Once it's completely digested, they always come back and say, I really appreciate everything that you guys did, because it's just a thing of being honest. And that's one of the things that make our school a family and just not a cash cow. Of course, I have to support my family. This is just what I do, but the most important thing is that we affect a community in a positive manner.
Absolutely. Another thing that recently, when I was volunteering at MacArthur Middle, we were doing they were doing a debate, and one
Mhm.
side picked either side, it was about social media and devices, cell phones, electronic devices. And you had brought this up a while ago about, um, a, you had shared an article where it was talking about parents letting the electronics raise the kids. And in this debate, a lot of the kids were saying, well, it's really not the parents' fault that we're overusing social media because we need it. And because I don't feel comfortable talking to people unless it's over the internet. And I don't really gel with people, or I don't feel comfortable being around people. And the internet is my backdrop. And I thought to myself, I've said, man, how I can't even really relate to it because I've always been related with people, but I was trying to put myself in these kids' shoes to say, how is it that this generation of technology, are we as parents, are we as instructors, as we as teachers, coaches, are we losing them to social media, electronics, being online? And I know that when you have your day camps and when they come to class, you try to make them be together with no social media, no tablets. If they get a little bit of tablet time, it's a little bit, but you spend the day teaching them awareness and prevention, self defense,
Yes,
game.
sir.
Um, how to, and I remember you asking a student one time, you said, "Are you happy? Ever happy?" And he was like, "Yeah." And you said, "When?" He said, "When I'm playing the game."
Yeah. Right, 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 right.
And I know you come in contact with it a lot. What do you think, or what are some ways that we as parents, educators, teachers, coaches, whoever has contact with kids, what do you think are some ways that we can get them away from the social media without making them feel like they're losing their lifeblood?
Right, right. And I think the first thing we gotta address is we have to stop making excuses and giving them the crutch. The worst thing we that that a person can say is, "I'm not a people person."
Hmm.
That's crazy. Dogs communicate with dogs, cats communicate with cats, birds communicate with. If you're not a people person, then what what kind of person are you? So I think that a lot of our parents, well, parents in general, They say, well, they just don't do well in crowds. And yes, depression, anxiety, all those things are very, 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 very important and very, very real. But we make a lot of the the mental crutch in order for them to stand on when we make excuses. Say, well, they don't really do good with people. My little girl doesn't get a lot of girlfriends because they just don't like her. But we don't invest into them in order to make them better.
Mhm.
I ask a lot of our parents at the school, are you invested into what your child is doing here? And a lot of the habits that we see, I always know the kids that are on their phones and on their tablets because when they're taking class, the parents doing the same thing. So I definitely think it's a thing of accountability. I do think that within this day and age that there has to be a balance. I'm not saying that we should be so far left or so far right. We do have to find a happy, medium. But I definitely think that one way that we can get through to them is just by being, invested. Even after school, when they get out of school, how's your day? Good. What you do? Play, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's really no, elaboration. There's really no compassion within the conversation, which also stops the children from exploring their vocabulary.
Absolutely. Um, so I know that you, and we're gonna kind of pump you up a little bit here. You are not just a martial arts teacher; you are a competitor around the world, always winning. Every time I see just championship after championship, trophy after trophy, ring after ring, but I've never heard you use that as I'm the best of the best. You're always open. You're always willing to give, to teach. Another thing I noticed that whenever I ask you anything, just early, you always take it back to the roots of the thing. You have never taken credit for that. Um, as a world martial arts champion, one who competes and still competes, where do you get the drive from? What pushes you to continue moving forward? What is something that you have inside that maybe you see in some of the kids that they may lead that same type of lifestyle that you live?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a point of motivation. And I think one of the best things to do that when you are faced with adversity is to indulge in yourself. Um, and of course, within a positive manner. I think a lot of people get faced with um, issues and they kind of drift left or drift right instead of really finding the answer within their self. So, last December on a Tuesday, random call, the person who I find the most security in, the person who has my back, my business partner, I just get a call that, hey, son, your dad is dead. He's gone. And that's a major thing because now even the people who you think are going to support you and be tight, now they're asking you, at 22 years old, can you pick up a business? Can you still compete? Can you still travel? And it's a thing of me being able to focus on me. And I think everything is about timing. And I think if you have really good time management, I think that everything can fall into place. And one of the things that pushes me is to always give the children the example. I don't ever want to be that instructor who teaches based on what I used to do. So even though at times people may feel like when I go compete that it might be a vacation. Now, though I may be going to a nice venue,
Mm.
I might see another fighting style. I might see a drill. I might pick up on something small that I can bring back, to the school. And I just want to be able to bring stuff home into, our students, and so that they can see that what they're being taught is battle tested. I don't want anybody to ever, if I was a student, I don't want you to teach me off theory. I want you to show me. So um, I know I still have room to get better. I still I have room to grow. I had an amazing season last year, so we are embarking on 2020 now. And just like we have all of our students set short term and long term goals, I have short term, long term goals. And then I feel as though I provide a better customer service when I am active also. So when I know that I've been to the gym and I've been kicking and punching and drilling and training, it allows me to teach class better also. So I think it's just a point of accountability that keeps me going.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. For kids that might not want to, or parents might not want to, they don't, well, I don't want my kid in martial arts. I don't want them to be
Yeah,
violent. I don't
yeah,
want
yeah. We
them to
get that a lot.
be aggressive. What is the answer to that? Because I hear that a lot too. Oh, they're in martial arts. They violent. They're aggressive. They're learning to
Hmm.
fight. And when people use words like that, it just shows the lack of understanding of, like you said, the total package, the life
All right.
skills part of it. How do you combat that when someone brings that type of question to you?
We as a staff at Maryland's Best first and foremost want to know how can we help. So we don't even start off with the karate aspect. A lot of times when parents say that they don't want them to be aggressive or they don't want them to fight, we just say that we completely understand. But is there anything at home that we can help you guys with? And they'll say, well, you know what? We do have to tell Johnny to clean his room 5 times. Johnny's not focusing in school. Johnny's getting bad grades. Johnny's following the wrong crowd. And then we just let them know how we can help them through the martial arts. And a lot of it is communication. A lot of people just leave things up for assumption. This is something I tell my staff all the time. It doesn't matter if it's an email, call, a conversation. Our job is to educate the client on what we are providing. So, everybody started when they hear karate, they all do the crane stance. Everybody thinks Karate Kid, which makes them
Right.
think fight. And so now all we do is just redirect their thinking because perception is 90% of their reality. So if we change their perception on what martial arts is and how martial arts can benefit them, then it really, really helps. So anytime that we get a parent that says, I don't want them to be violent, I don't want them to fight, you say, hey, we completely, understand. And we don't want that for your child either. Now, is there anything that we can help you with, at home? It could be disciplinary, it could be getting chores done. And sometimes, even if we have a really good student, we might go the extra mile and figure out if we can create a behavior chart, if we can create a chore chart. It's just finding a different way in in order to help. I think a lot of instructors stop their job at the mat,
Mm.
and I believe once parents see how invested a martial arts instructor can be, I think it could be beneficial.
And I see another thing that you do is teach leadership at a early stage. Even with my son helping in some of the lower classes when his sister's taking class, he's out there assisting. You have others assist. What's the goal behind that by teaching leadership so early? What are you seeking to do or place in them?
Mainly trying to give them a taste of reality and allow them to understand that responsibility is just a part of life. So responsibility could be found in your workplace with our young men. It could be found, at home, and we really just want to groom them as much as we possibly can. Excuse me. Also teaching them patience
Hmm.
patience and humility because sometimes when they're dealing with a younger kid, they forget that they were the exact same way.
Right.
So like we get kids who they'll come to me and be like, man, this kid he just don't focus. He don't know his left from his right. But it's like, hey, part of you being a leader is you have to be a patient, leader. So let's say if they become someone who has a desk job and somebody might not be having their work up to par based on their martial arts, they know how to communicate and they understand that nobody gets left behind. So it kind of just creates a mental a mental mindset in which they're always willing to help, they're always willing to lead, and it makes them kind of uncomfortable to follow. And the more that we can build leaders, that's all they will know how to do. It doesn't matter if it's on the mat, off the mat, because the position that they are in is always to lead. Um, and a lot of people think that it's because we want 10,000 karate schools. But if one of them gravitate to want to become a professional martial arts instructor, cool. But if one of them grasp the fact that they can be a leader and they can find confidence in leading someone else, then it means that we've done, our job.
Perfect. Excellent. As you grow and as you continue your journey, what is it that you are you thinking legacy now? What do you want to leave? What is the when your name is mentioned, what do you want people to think or say or believe? Or, what are your, I guess, your long-term goal? What is your goal at this point? Because you're only
And
so
man, I would just say help, man. I think that help, and I think that's such a powerful word, because you don't know where or what direction your help goes into. Your help can help a individual. Your help could help a family. Your help could help a generation.
Mhm.
I don't think that it's boxed off to one demographic. And I don't want to feel like, you have to teach in the slums of the slums to make a difference.
Right.
All kids yearn for guidance, and all you have to do is provide that guidance in a patient manner. So long term, if I can create a franchise opportunity, if I can create um, a life path through martial arts, if I can create a leader or just create multiple successful people and genuinely just help, then I'll be perfectly fine. I know that I'll win many more world titles. I know I will be on, some of the best martial arts, teams, but that is all personal.
Mhm.
And one thing that really struck me hard, and I think it kind of shifted my mindset, was seeing my father's funeral and seeing, men that were in their 40s and 50s say that he was responsible for more than 60% of the man that they were at that
Right.
point in their life. That's major.
Yeah.
That's major, major, major. And it doesn't have anything to do with how well he kicked and punched. He was an amazing, martial artist. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, his help, always, always being there to, speak to, or just being an amazing friend. You just don't know how much you can help. And if we can just provide a place on this planet where people can come in, and it doesn't matter what color you are, Democrat, Republican, Section 8, 1%. It don't matter to us once we get in that karate school, man. We are literally family. And within that family, that's where you find help. We have parents that are therapists. We have parents that are social workers. We got parents that are teachers, parents that are lawyers, and we all help each other within our community. So if I go down as one of those people that help, it doesn't matter if it's one or 1,000. I just want to make that impact, in order to help.
Right. And another thing that I know that you
And that generational wealth also, that's going to be important.
absolutely, absolutely. Another
For
thing I
sure.
noticed that you do is when new parents do come, you do have a new parent outreach and you do have new parents come in and you want to bring everybody in at once to show them, okay, and I guess give them an outline. So you have done, from what I can see, every right step in building a family based atmosphere where we're all
Thank you.
partners trying to leave a mark on our children and move them to the next level and to push them and give them that confidence and give them that power and that strength and that confidence, which a lot of times in the class. And if you can you go over the tenets of Taekwondo for us, just so people can
Yep.
hear what the tenets are and what they're striving for?
So we basically start class out with having them say courtesy, having respect for my instructors and elders, integrity, knowing the difference between right and wrong, perseverance. Excuse me, dryer just stopped. Perseverance, striving hard to achieve our goals, indomitable spirit, having confidence in ourselves when faced with overwhelming odds, and self control, controlling ourselves in every way, even in difficult situations. And we find ourselves using this on a daily basis, not for repetitive reasons. And believe it or not, it helps our parents more than it helps our students, because we all know that our parents get caught up and they might be thinking about on the ride here, man, I just cussed somebody out in front of my baby. So we just do it, and within our school, we just have everything stopped. So nobody's allowed to run around, and then all parents demonstrate that it is important to them also. So all of our parents stand, and everything in the school stops. And it just shows the students that this is something um, that's really going to be important. So mom and dad are not on their phone. Mom and dad are still. Mom and dad are standing, and it just shows the child that what I'm saying are not just words. These are the boundaries and standards that I'm held to on and off the mat.
Absolutely. And while we spent a lot of time with children because that's kind of where my passion is. I know you have a passion there as well. I know your father had a passion there as well, trying to help kids and just change that generation. Because, like you said, if you just reach them, they will have a better chance. Most kids yearn for direction, structure, accountability. Is when they don't get it that they end up everywhere else. I think one of my cousins posted on Facebook, you know, that little SpongeBob thing that I ain't, I'm gonna head on out. He put
Hmm. Hmm.
on his, it had both parents are working, and then the SpongeBob had on a little red rag and said, "All right, I'm gonna head on out and go gang banging." The truth.
Which is real.
When
Which is real.
when parents aren't there or they're not in giving the kids the kind of attention that the kid needs and is seeking, they will go out and get that attention from somewhere else. And that's just reality. Um, we I heard TD Jakes say on a little thing, we can't work so hard to provide that we don't remember to give to the kid emotionally and personally. I mean, I can go work 24 hours and put food on the table all day, but they're still going to realize that I'm not there. And
Yes, sir.
that's the moment where the difference between saving a life and losing a life to the street. And as we talked about a lot of kids and things, your school does train adults. You have an adults martial arts class. What are you pivoting from children to adults? What do you see generally what adults are looking for? I know a lot are looking for to get back in shape, but how does
Right, right.
martial arts help adults that may be looking for a little bit of structure in their life as well?
All right, and I do find that our adult martial art class, a lot of parents are um, and a lot of adults are really standoffish at first about it because it's not Gold's Gym, it's not a Bally's, it's not a you can do as you please, and because of the accountability, because of the structure, it does make it a little bit uncomfortable. Now, we've never had an adult student be displeased. Once they take that confident step in order to try class, everybody says, "Man, I needed that. I needed that because we work so hard to provide and you make time for kids and family, and then you kind of forget about yourself and you put yourself on the back end and you forget that your health and fitness is going to be, important also. And for that hour that class is going on, it's one of the rare times in your day where, bills don't matter what's late, what's on time, if you and the spouse is arguing, it's just that tiny window of time that is for you. So we've had adult students with depression, we've had adult students ponder, suicidal thoughts, anger management, recovering, all kinds of students. And the principles and values of martial arts have been able to reach, everyone. Like I said, we've never had a displeased, adult student. We all know that everybody wants to get back in shape. Everybody wants to get their summer bodies back.
Yeah.
So it's not a thing of being like in a drill sergeant position, but we are just honest with the accountability. So if you're cheating on the exercise and you're by yourself in the gym, you can keep moving on. But if you come to a martial art class and you cheating and the whole team got to start over, then a lot of people are not comfortable with that accountability. So all we do is just hold them accountable. And a lot of the parents really like that time to themselves. And it's just a time for you and you only. You are working on your personal growth. You're working on your fitness. And we have everybody in our adult program just set goals. So if your goal is to work on your strength, that's just, all we're going to do is build on that. If we're going to work on having confidence in self-defense, we'll cover that. If it's flexibility, and believe it or not, we find more confidence issues in adults than we do children.
Yeah.
That is the reality of the day and age that we are in. In order to have an adult stand in front of the class and project their voice, sometimes it is hard because people just naturally through life they just go through things. So we have different obstacles that we have to go over, and we've had plenty of people come to us who said, yes, I definitely have been attempted to be raped. I have been robbed. I have been held at gunpoint. So we have to work through a lot of reservations
Mm.
and holdups. But once they get into the program and they start feeling that family feel and they're progressing together, everything really earns, out well. But there is no major difference in what the parents and the children are kind of needing. It all boils down to structure and accountability.
Got it. So, as we are here now, we've pretty much established that taking martial arts is a great, great way to instill confidence, build endurance physically. Uh, I love what you said that it's a life skills university that just keeps popping back up in my mind because so many people just think that martial arts or karate or taekwondo or whatever you're taking is just a place to go and kick a bag for a few hours and leave. And
Right,
people
right,
think
right.
that it's a place where I can go and maybe somebody can force me to get in shape because I don't have that self-control and accountability to go to the gym and do it on my own. But it's much, much more than that. The reach that you're projecting out there is touching lives in a way that just kicking a bag doesn't do justice when people think that. So, if you could give me a rundown of your programs that you do offer in the school for kids and adults, so that the audience know if they want to come have a sit down with you or any of the staff, what kind of programs do you have that are available to them?
Awesome. So we have a 3 to 4 year old program. We call that our Tiny Tiger program. We're building just basic fundamentals. We're working on being able to follow directions the first time. It's not likely that a 3 or 4 year old will have to defend themselves, but it is more likely that they have to know the discipline in order to keep their hands, to themselves. Then we move up to the next group, which is our little dragons, 5 to 7 year old. And in that group, we start like basic self defense, and we start understanding how to identify instructions. And once we work on how to identify instructions and follow instructions, it helps the parents at home, helps the teachers in school. After that, we move up to our 8 to 13 year old program. We're more heavily into the self defense with that group because in this day and age, we know how serious bullying, cyber, physical, verbal, we it's something that's real, and we don't want to I guess push it aside. And so you will see in our 8 to 13 year old program that it is a lot more self defense, oriented. And then we consider all teenagers and up. That's our adult program. We have a basic and we have a advanced class. So once you get halfway through the curriculum, we just move into the advanced class. Other than that, we're just building on basic mechanics. It's about 45 minutes You really don't sit still. The only time you're pretty much still is when we're stretching, and we keep a really, really good high paced class. And so that the structure is not uncomfortable, but it does allow you to communicate with the teammates, and so that it doesn't feel too far on the dictatorship end where you
Mhm.
feel like it's a drill sergeant teaching you, but it's not too far left where you feel like it's a Tabo aerobics class. So we just try to find that happy, medium so we can just have fun and really just work on having the whole family, in shape. So we do start them at 3, and anywhere between 3 and 99, we can teach them. Got your back.
99. Um, Also, just in those classes, once they hit that little dragons part, you do also introduce sparring to them. Talk a little bit about that aspect of it. Why add in sparring along with the belt curriculum?
So a lot of schools, when they think about sparring, they rush to get the kids in gear because they are so-called cute. One thing that we do, we don't even give them all their gear at first. We actually have them break down everything into drills. Now, the sparring gives them the feeling of defending themselves without the hazard part. Now, of course, they are dressed up like a Michelin tire, like they got pads everywhere. The babies do not get hurt, but one thing you don't want is for anybody to push your child, poke your child, knock your child down, and it sends them into shock. So, what the sparring does is it allows hands and feet to come at the child, and so they build a vision in order to see what's coming at them. So you cannot tell a child to, hey, when you get to school, I don't want Johnny to I don't want him to push you, poke you. I don't want you to be no punk. But then you don't prepare them for that. And so the second somebody pushes them, punches them in the belly, mushes them, it forces them into a position of shock. And that's why you see people's children stand there and all they do is cry because they really don't know what else to do. So basically, in our school, we use sparring once they get to a certain point in order to have them understand defense. Even though, yes, we do want to teach them how to go forward and attack, the first place we start teaching is defense, how to protect your head, how to cover up, how to not get hit. Because even though we are sparring in a very constructive manner, the principles of self-defense and sparring are the same, and it's to protect yourself at all times. Don't take your eye off the on it, and most importantly, defense wins championships. So,
Right.
it's just a vehicle to help them build confidence. And so, if a kid does pick on them or poke on them, it's not putting them in any place that they have not been. So, if a kid shoves them, it's perfectly fine because I go to class on Tuesday and Thursday. I see this all the time. If a kid punches them in the tummy, we actually hope that it doesn't happen. But if it does happen, it's just a punch because I see this all the time. So the one thing we don't want is for any children to be put into what we call submission. And submission is when you see a kid, getting hit, and everybody sees it on Facebook, and all they do is turtle up. That's the worst position that you want your child in. So all sparring does is just teach them how to deal with a close quarter, attack, how to push, how to cover up, how to move their head, and then we break it down into like things that are like fun. And so we'll go, all right, guys, we want you to treat your head like an egg. And what do you do with egg? You protect it. Why? Because if egg hits the ground, what's going to happen? It's going to splatter. And then even though it becomes like a joke, they actually get it into their psyche to protect their head because they don't want their head to get hit. And just for parents, that's what we all want, because we don't ever want kids to come home bruised or beat up or hit. But at the same time, it teaches them that discipline, of knowing when to strike and when not to strike. So I know a lot of schools do not do sparring, but I think it is a very useful, element.
And I do as well. I think that it teaches them, like you said, to be prepared. Even when you're showing the self defense, like last week, a lot of the older kids, they didn't want to touch each other, and they were kind of like half throw the punch or not really engaging, and that's not real life. Real life is
Right.
when somebody snatches you, what are you going to do? But I noticed that a lot of them don't like that contact, even in a
Right.
controlled environment. So I like the way you push them beyond that to so they can know that, hey, I can actually use this, because the worst thing you do is take a lot of knowledge and theory and throw it all away when somebody touches you, because
Right.
you never had the opportunity to be touched in a controlled environment. So I think that that aspect of the training is very needed, because like you were telling them, a lot of young ladies get snatched, a lot of young men get snatched now, and this child abduction and adult, it's a big,
It's real.
it's major
Real.
cities and across the country, across the world. So at least be prepared and be able to subdue whoever a perpetrator when they put their hands on you, and not having that slow reaction, or like you said, that freeze up or go into shock. And you just a turtle and they just pick you up and scoop you out and you're gone. You're gone.
Right. Right.
So that is another definite great aspect to the school, being able to teach them the proper mechanics of that. Um, Talk a little bit about the competition aspect, because you're a competitor, you go to competitions, and we go to the tournaments locally. Talk, how does a kid or an adult that may be wanting to come in, they want to compete, what does that look like for them, that path to being a competitor, to being a martial artist, so to speak, and not just doing it as hobby, so to speak.
All right. We actually have a really diligent process in order to compete. It's a thing of being not only trained, but everything has to be in steps. The same way that boxers go, build up, amateur, and they stay there for a little while. Then they go to pro, and then they go to the top fights. It's kind of the same thing. We take our students through diligent training, and we start them with everything local, and then we might expand regional, and that means that they might be able to go to like a Delaware or a Philly. Nationally is going to be the next step, so we might allow them to go to like a Battle of Atlanta, or like a Diamond Nationals, or AK Grands, which is in Chicago. So it's all based on steps. I do think competition is healthy. It keeps you in shape. It gives you a goal, but it's a disciplined goal. You don't have to worry about competing in a open martial arts tournament and not being able to go to work the next day. You're not going to get cut. Um, that's really rare. Injuries really rare, and it's not a thing of showing how tough you are. It's a very strategic game, and I think that we have a formula. Because when we go out, we actually do well. So
Yeah.
anybody who will be looking to do that, even if you come from another school, we're definitely willing to help or put you on that right path. Now, once again, if there's anything we can do to help, all you gotta do is just contact us.
As we wind down, that was a fast hour. It went by really quick.
Oh
What
yeah, that's true. Jesus.
what do you want to leave us with? Parting thoughts from you. What, anything that you want to say to the people? What do you have?
It would be on two sides. I would say to the general public, on as far as bringing up this next generation is concerned. I think that we as adults have to work on teamwork. I think that we have to trust the teacher, we have to trust the coach, we have to trust the instructor, um, in order to achieve the goal. Nobody should walk into a classroom and tell a teacher how to teach. Nobody should tell a parent how to parent, and nobody should tell a martial arts instructor how to teach. I think it's very important to support the support system.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is we get a lot of parents who want to bring the kid to martial arts, but once they really get into the martial arts, it's like, no. I don't want you to be tough on my baby. But you you can't tell me to make you better and to push you, but you still want me to be nice every single time, because if they get into the workplace and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, the boss is not going to slide it over to them easy. So I think for the general public, and I'm not speaking just for martial arts. If they are doing football, if you trust that coach, let that coach coach. Let that coach do what they're there to do, and really just allow them to experience. And I think a lot of our parents try to prevent them from the experience or prevent them from failure. But if they never deal with that, then the first time it comes to life, they're all they're going to do is flee.
Right.
And if we create that quitting habit, I think that it's something that becomes contagious. So if you let them quit softball, basketball, karate, and then you look up, you have this 17, 8 year old. I'm sorry, you have this 17-year-old or 18-year-old um, teenager, and they tell you, mom and dad, I'm done with high school. Like,
Right.
mom and dad, I ain't going. Well, now we can't flip the script and say, oh, well, you gotta go, you gotta stay in there, you gotta stick it out, even though it's hard. But they haven't been taught that. So I think for the general public, if we can do a better job of holding them accountable, and really working as a team, I think that it would definitely help. On the specific part of your personal group, as far as business owners and entrepreneurs are concerned, I think a major thing for all of us as a community of entrepreneurs, I think we have to understand the difference between consistent focus and momentary focus. I think that that's major. Momentary focus means that we are on the upscale, so that means we're just getting started. Everything is hype. Man, I'm gonna get these flyers out. I'm gonna get these emails out, and then when things get good, we start tumbling. Then we fall into momentary focus. So we hot for 3 months, we slow down for
Yep.
2, and then the more it goes on, the more time and comfortability that we fall into. One thing that's worked for me, and one of the goals that my business partner has been helping me with, um, is planning. And I think planning as an entrepreneur is so important, because you should know your direction. My dad used to tell me a man with no vision might as well wake up in the morning and put a blindfold on. And that is just a symbolism for not really understanding where you're going. So if you're doing good, let's do great. If you're doing great, let's be exceptional. If you're exception if you're going to be exceptional, let's go ahead and be awesome. If we're awesome, let's go ahead and be legendary. There's always ways to step our game up, but I think as entrepreneurs, there are times where we get lax, and we all do it. Money starts flowing in, everybody starts feeling comfortable, but
Right.
we forget why we're doing what we're doing, and it can be taken away extremely fast. So I think that hustle, I think that the focus, I think that the planning. If you are a new entrepreneur, I would start out with planning quarterly. I would set quarterly goals. I would know what I'm doing for these next 3 months. Um, I would know my demographics. I would know my location. I would know my target audience. I would already have those things planned out. So as you look on your calendar, you have a purpose for every day. Once again, if you don't have a purpose, then you're definitely going to move, blindly.
Absolutely. I like when, and I always tell my son when he comes into the difficult moments that a quitter never win and a winner never quits.
Yes, sir.
You cannot quit. You have to move one step every single day towards the goal, because without it, without goals, without that process, like you say, you're just walking around. And I listened to, I can't remember who it was, but they said what's not the saddest thing in the future, if it doesn't change, are people who grew up in a generation when you ask them how they are, they're just okay. Work is okay. Life is okay. They're never excited. Nothing's ever great for them. Nothing's ever
Yes, sir.
exceptional. It's okay. And that's going to be a sad, sad time period for a lot of people who feel like they didn't achieve what they wanted to do because, like you
For
said,
sure.
at an early age, they were allowed to quit. Oh, it's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard. I want to quit. Basketball is hard. I want to quit. Karate is hard. I want to quit. Football is hard. I want to quit. And like you said, when they become adults, when they become older, and it's going to be the same thing. The job gets hard. I don't want to get up and go to work every single day. Sometimes it gets tough. And but what is that thing, that motivation, that why, that purpose, that drive, that everything that can be taught as a great habit, we have to instill that in the kids. Before we get out, the book of the week is The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And what that book teaches you is it's about doing things and not just say if you want to exercise in the morning and you have a difficult time getting out of bed. What you do is you count backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and when you hit 0, you go. And you don't count up because up is a progression. So if you start at 1, you can go to 10 to 20. You count down so you have a termination. And when it terminates that time, you automatically do that thing. It's been proven in psychology and other studies that you need 5 to 10 seconds to cool down. Somebody step on your shoe, they bump your car, they hit this, they hit that, and you angry. Take 5 seconds and count it down and breathe and relax. And then you'll be able to make a better response. I kind of shared that with some students. One that said they had a really bad attitude with things going on. I said, just count down from 5 to 0. If somebody said they don't like you in the hallway, that's okay. Just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I'm good. I could
Right,
walk
right.
away. And to your point, a thing with planning, a great planner that I use is called the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt. It basically every single day you plan it out in quarters. You write your annual goals down, and then you do it by quarter. And it also does a daily breakdown. So every day you write your big 3 that you want to accomplish in the day. What big thing, 3 things that I need to do today to reach my goal? And then it bounces up to weekly. How do those big 3 things impact my big 3 for the week? So that's a great way to take charge of your life and really plan it out, because if you don't plan, people don't fail, they fail to plan. And
Yes, sir.
that is, just the reality. If you don't write it down, if you're not diligent about it, you'll never do it, and it'll always be in the back burner. So, Kwangjanim, how can people reach out to you? Where is the school located? Give us all that good information so people can know how to reach you.
Yes, sir. So we are located at 6785 Business Parkway, Elkridge, Maryland. You really can't miss us. We're directly on Route 1 and 175. You can contact us at 410-567-2185. Once again, that's 410-567-2185. Just let us know which one of the programs you will be interested in. Um, do not get it confused. You do not need any prior, experience. All we do is start from where you guys are, and we build on from there. And if it's any way that we can help be a part of you guys, village, if you see value in what we do, then we are definitely here to help.
And I strongly suggest, if you're sitting on the fence, because I have many people tell me I want to get my kids in martial arts, but I don't know if they'll like it. Don't worry about if they like it. Let them try it. Let them try it first, and give them the opportunity to see. A lot of kids say no immediately to things that they're not comfortable with or that they don't know anything about. So for all the people that you're on the fence with this, do it. Don't be on the fence. Go ahead and do it. Give it an opportunity. See the value that comes from the instruction. Um, like I said, my kids have been going there for years now. I wouldn't trust them in another hand. I mean, I just the level of instruction is beautiful, and showing kids more than kicking and punching is beautiful. The thing with the mirror is absolutely amazing. Making kids look in the mirror and asking them, who do they see? Because that at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yes, sir.
Who they think they are. And I think that is one of the highlights of the many, many highlights that every time, because I'd be in class, I'd be taking notes. Be like, okay, doing this. Oh, dude, that was good. And I'd be, I use it. because you got to use things that work. And
Yes,
I've seen
sir.
a lot of those kids from when they were my son's age at 4 that stuck through with him. Some of his partners there, they've all changed. They've all grown a lot, and they're much different than what they were when they first started. So this is something that we definitely take serious. I know Kwangjanim Kameren takes it serious as well. When you have your kids, oh, we didn't mention the after school program. You do have that as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we do provide transportation from their schools, in order to come to the martial art facility. We service just a few schools right now: Hanover Hills, Jessup Elementary, Ballman Bridge, Deep Run, Bonnie Branch. We kind of deal with the Route 1 and 175 side of Columbia, so everything that's on this side, but we don't go over into like Swansfield and um, what is that, Clemens Crossing, because the commute is just too long. But if you find yourself on this side of Columbia for 125 a week, we provide transportation from the school back to the martial art facility, and from there they must complete their homework. They get snack time. They take a martial art class every day.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Making sure they get that classwork done, then putting them in a martial arts class, and then you can pick them up and bring them home. So that is
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Cameron, thank you for joining me. The whole
Yes,
purpose,
sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
not a problem. The whole purpose of the empowerment platform is to empower people to reach phenomenal levels, whatever that is for you in your life, whether it's finding martial arts, whether it's financial literacy, whatever it may be. We're seeking only to empower you to reach your goals and to become a one percenter. And one percenter isn't all about money, it's about life. Money is the easiest thing to get, but getting a great marriage, a great family, great health, great fitness, great mental skills, just being a 1% overall is what we're here to provide. And I thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.